Hi, this is Dr. Lynn McPherson. I've been a palliative care pharmacist my whole career, and I've been toying with this idea of launching this educational series called Did You Know for quite some time. And just this week, I was in a conversation with some folks online about how to do opioid conversion calculations without using an online calculator. Kind of a hot button for me. I think everyone should know how to do them by hand. So I thought, what a great time to jump in. So let's take a look. So, of course, we're going to start with a case. We have a 52-year-old man admitted to hospice with end-stage colon cancer. He was started on morphine and the dose was titrated until he was comfortable, which we achieved, but now the morphine has caused major itching. This is likely due to a histamine effect, so it's probably best to switch to a different opioid that's less likely to cause the itching. So in that line of thought, his prescribers asked you to calculate an equivalent dose using oxycodone. At present, JH is getting long-acting oral morphine, 30 milligrams Q12, and he has a short-acting morphine, either 5 milligrams for moderate pain or 10 milligrams for severe pain every 2 hours as needed. On average, he's using about 30 milligrams a day. How do we do this conversion without using an online conversion calculator? Well, these are the 5 steps that I promote in doing an opioid conversion calculation. Number one, assess the patient's pain complaint thoroughly. Is the pain controlled or at goal? Determine the average total daily dose of current opioid being taken, long acting and short acting. If you have no idea how much short acting the patient is taking, don't include it in the calculation. You set up a ratio using an equianalgesic equivalence chart, which I'll show you on the next slide, and then you do the ratio and calculate the new dose. Then this is the step where you get the big bucks. This is where all your training comes into play. You want to individualize that calculated dose based on the patient assessment data you collected in step number one. So if you're staying with the same opioid, but going to a different route of administration, say you're going from oral morphine to parenteral morphine or from parenteral to oral, if the pain is controlled, you just go with the dose you calculate because the only thing you have to worry about there is bioavailability. If the pain was not controlled and it is opioid responsive pain, you would probably increase the dose that you calculated. Now, what if you're switching from one opioid to another? The catch here is even if you do a good job on the math, the patient is not going to be completely 100% sensitive to the new, you're not going to have complete cross tolerance basically. So if you're switching and their pain is controlled, I would reduce the number that you calculated by 30 to 50%. If you're switching, but their pain is not controlled, I would reduce it again, but by far less. As a matter of fact, I would probably reduce it just enough to get to the next convenient dosage formulation. And then, of course, we're going to monitor our patient carefully. So let's apply these steps to our patient. We've assessed his pain. It's very well controlled. We're switching due to itching. Step two is add the total daily dose. So he's getting long-acting morphine 30Q12, which is 60, and another 30 milligrams of the immediate release morphine. So he's getting a 90 milligram total daily dose of oral morphine. So you set up an equivalency ratio. So as you can see from the little box here, this is an equianalgesic chart looking at 3 of the most commonly used opioids that we do conversion calculations on. So everything in the parenteral column is sort of equal. So 10 milligrams of parenteral morphine gives you approximately the same clinical effect as 2 milligrams of parenteral hydromorphone or dilaudid. If you go across a row, 10 milligrams of parenteral morphine is pretty much equivalent to 25 or maybe even 30 milligrams of oral morphine. And you can cross rows and columns. So 2 milligrams of parenteral hydromorphone is 25 milligrams of oral morphine. So as you see the equation here in the middle of the slide, I always put my unknown in the numerator, what I'm solving for. So X milligrams of oral oxycodone over, he's currently getting 90 milligrams of oral morphine a day. So everything on the left side of the equation is real-time, real-life data, what I'm solving for and where we are right now. Everything on the right side of the equation comes from the chart, and you will see the same opioid by the same route of administration in the numerator on both sides. So in this case, it's oral oxycodone. Similarly, in the denominator, you see the same opioid by the same route on both sides. Again, in this case, it's oral morphine. You cross multiply, X times 25 is 20 times 90. You divide both sides by 25 to isolate X, so it's 72 milligrams of oxycodone. So if you take that 72 milligrams and pop it up in that equation, In your mind's eye, does 72/90 seem reasonable, given that 20 of oral oxy is about 25 of oral morphine? Well, you know the oxy number of milligrams is going to be less than the morphine, so indeed we've met that case as well. And in this case, it's going to be about 20% less. So about 20% of 90 is 18, so it works out perfectly well. Now the next step is, what do we do with this number that we calculated? So again, are we staying with the same opioid? No, we're switching opioid. So we're going to go down to the second sub bullet. We're switching from morphine to oxycodone, and the situation here is his pain was controlled. We're just switching because of a side effect. So he's not going to have complete cross tolerance. So we will reduce the calculated dose by 30 to 50%. If you look at the blue box there, we calculated 72 milligrams a day of oral oxycodone. If we reduce by 30 to 50%, we're somewhere in the range of 36 to 50 milligrams of oral oxycodone a day. So I'm going to recommend the long-acting oxycodone, 20 milligrams Q12, which is 40, but I'm also going to provide short-acting oxycodone, 5 milligrams, or you could do 10 milligrams every 2 hours as needed. And step number 5, that's the most important one. Monitor your patient closely and adjust as needed. So again, this is Lynn McPherson. I'm a professor at the University of Maryland in Baltimore. I'm a palliative hospice and palliative care pharmacist, and we're kicking off our series of Did You Know? And before I let you go, did you know that May 1st is the application deadline if you would like to pursue a graduate certificate in palliative care? And you would kick things off this summer, June 1st, with a course in advanced pain management. And you know what? We feature opioid conversion calculations heavily in that course. I've given you my website there. My email is on that website if I can do anything to help you. Thanks for tuning in.